Hi, this is Theo from PocketBlocks.com. Today I want to show you these two Pilot pocket brush pens that I have here with me, and I'm going to do a drawing demonstration with them. These are the two Pilot pocket brush pens that I bought many months ago. They are available in two options. One is the hard, which is this one, the blue body, and the other one is the soft, which comes in a black body. This is actually some sort of plastic body. What I like about it is there's this little see-through gap here that you can see how much ink is left inside. So yeah, let's take a look at the tip. The tips of these two brush pens are made of some sort of sponge-like material. This is unlike the other brush pens that I have showed you, like for example this Pentel brush pen that has bristles, individual strands of synthetic nylon for their hair. As a result, this sponge tip, they draw a bit differently, they also feel a bit differently. And you can see here that this tip here is quite wet. The one at the bottom is the soft tip, which has a larger exposed tip, and the one at the top is the hard tip, which has a smaller sponge, but both are pretty sharp tips. Let me show you some strokes from the hard tip. If you control the pressure of the pen, you can get thin and thick strokes. So you can get strokes like this, which is thin, and if you press down hard, you can get the thicker strokes, or you can get a mixture depending on how you control your pen. Let me show you the soft tip. The soft tip is the one with the bigger exposed sponge tip. So same thing, if you press down lightly, you get thin strokes, and press down hard, you can get thicker strokes. Now, one of the disadvantages of this particular brush pen is when you use it on the side to color big areas, you're going to get something like this. Notice the little hooks at the start and end of the stroke. Well, that's because of the way the sponge tip is designed. As I put the tip down, notice that the end of the tip is lifted off the surface of the paper, and then I pull it to the right side, and when I lift it up, note that the tip now touches the paper. So you can see the hooks at the start and at the end. Let me demonstrate that again in case you did not get that. Just put it down like this, and when I draw across, note that the tip is off the surface. You can even see the drop shadow of the tip there, and when I lift it up, it's like that. That is the disadvantage of a sponge tip. Let me use the Pentel Pocket Brush Pen for comparison. This uses bristles, so when you lay down the brush tip on the side, because it's flexible, the whole brush will go down, and when you pull it to the side and lift it up, there's not going to be any hooks at the start and end. So because the bristles are more flexible compared to the sponge. Let me do some drawing demonstration now. This is the hard tip. By the way, the ink is not waterproof, so when you use water on it, it will start to bleed and the ink will start to break out. The ink flow is quite generous with this pen, so it takes a while to dry. So if you're using it in a sketchbook, please make sure that the ink is dry before you close the sketchbook. I have made some mistakes before where I thought the ink was dry, but actually it's not, so I smudged the opposite pages in my sketchbook. This is the hard tip. Now, drawing with this sponge tip is more, you can get a feel of the tip compared to, let's say, drawing with a brush pen that just uses those bristles. You're not going to feel anything, but with the sponge you still can feel the tip as it touches the surface of the paper. So there is some sort of a tactile feel to it. So press hard, you'll get the thicker strokes, and if you go thin, then it will taper down to a very thin line. You can do quick strokes like this. They are good for drawing like hair because they taper to the edge. Alright, let me try and switch over to the soft tip. For the soft tip, when I use this pen, I generally use this for drawing. I do not use this to color large areas of black because of the effect that I showed you just now. It's very irritating. So I just use this for drawing lines and doing detail work. The moment you press down with this soft tip, you have to be very careful. You have to be very mindful of the effect that it's going to create. As with any sort of brush pen, you need some practice to be able to get the type of lines that you want. I don't usually draw with brush pens, so I'm not very good at brush pens. But they are quite fun to use because they can be quite expressive. Another thing to note is compared to other, let's say, brush pens, you will not be able to get the dry brush effect with this sponge tip because, first of all, the sponge doesn't allow for that sort of effect, and second of all, the ink flow is very good, so you will not get any dry brush effect. So if you do something like this is going to be very dark compared to, let's say, the Pentel Pocket Brush Pen. If you do something like that, you can see all the textures are coming out because of the hair. So let me try and do some hatching lines at the top for this hat. It's actually quite easy to draw with the Pilot Pocket Brush Pen. I feel that it's slightly easier compared to the Pentel because you can still feel the tip on the paper as compared to the Pentel Pocket Brush Pen. This is with the hard tip and this is with the soft tip. You can see, oh yeah, when you're drawing vertical strokes like this, you can see those hooks coming out as well. This is definitely not natural. To conclude, I prefer the hard tip because the strokes come out more or less the way I expect them to be, and it's easier to draw with this hard tip. The soft tip is a bit more unpredictable because when you press down hard, it's if you have never drawn with a sponge tip before, it is going to be a bit difficult to predict how the strokes are going to come out. Especially when you press down hard, the tip of the sponge will lift off the surface and the strokes is going to come out a bit weird or unexpected. So usually if I'm drawing with this pen, I will use it for drawing but not for shading, and I will not press down too hard. So that's the main disadvantage of the soft tip. If I want to buy the soft tip, well, actually I would just prefer to go with the Pentel Pocket Brush, this one, versus the Pilot soft tip. Yep, so that's all for today's review. If you have any questions, feel free to ask me in the comment section below. I will answer them, and if you have not subscribed to my YouTube channel, do so for more art product reviews, sketching tips and techniques, and also sketchbook features. Thanks for watching, have a nice day, see you in the next video, bye!